Hello, this video is about White Mirror Wavespell, and I'm making it on Tuesday, December 28th, and the moon is at Libra, 28 degrees, and I've just had the most amazing synchronicities in the lead up to doing this, which, as always, just blows me away. Hope you've had an amazing festive time, whatever your ritual is for this time. We're going into a period of intense energy building up to the new moon in Capricorn. Intense has just been the whole trip, hasn't it? Over and over again. So no surprises. This is building even more for next year. So I've just taken a little bit of a heads up look at that as well. So here we are today. And as you can see, we're in Blue Lunar Storm Day. I'll just get that down and you can see that. Okay, so we're here, still in the 6th column, and we've got one more day to go. And tomorrow is a really big day because we're going into yellow electric sun, and it's the last day of the 20-day cycle completing. So it's going to be big on lots of levels. White Mirror is the 10th wave spell. So we have 52-day processes that begin here with Red Dragon. And so we've had the red, we've had the white, so we've had Red Dragon, we've had Red Skywalker, and now we're coming into the middle. We've had the 10 days in Red Serpent, all this Akashic record, we've been through that. So if you're still here and you're still saying well done, because it's such an intense time right now. And now we are going into White Mirror, which is showing us our role as a planetary server, the projection from the heart, the magnetic. So again, yesterday was a really key day as to what you were seeing reflected out in your world. These videos are all about this framework of this belief system around what this represents in the astrology, which is that we're in a giant mystery school and we're here to evolve the human race through evolving ourselves. And at this time, everything is here for our evolution and it is necessary, even though it may feel very challenging for the ego and the story that we've been sold as human beings for a very long time on the planet. So taking it easy as much as we can at the moment, resting as much as we can at this time of year in the Northern Hemisphere, that is what it's about. It's about resting, it's about replenishing, rejuvenating during the time of the equinox in Libra, where the sun goes down, we go into the underworld, and we also go into our inner place to do lots of work on ourselves, reflecting back on what happened over the summer months, so that when the spring equinox comes again, we will have a different inner world, a different heart, magnetic attractor, the feminine energy in us that's coming back into balance. And the more that we heal, the more we connect to the galactic sun and the energy that's beaming through us. We've got to get aligned with our goddess energy now. So in terms of where we are today, we're in the place of new learning. And every 13-day process, as I said, this is the 10th one. So again, this corresponds to the 10th sign, which is Capricorn in the traditional zodiac, which is the 10th house. So whatever you've got going on in the 10th house is key. And if you want to know more about that, please do get in touch with me, message me on this video underneath, and I will put up resources so that you can work this out if you don't already know. So the 10th house is in esoterica, in the person who is doing the Quetzalcoatl process, as in the Buddha process, is about our heart's desire, which is to heal. And so white dog, to heal our ancestral patterns. And this is crucial for this 13-day process, because by the time we complete it, we're going to be here, which is white cosmic dog, which is in 12 days' time. And this is the whole central theme of getting clear of our ancestral patterns, healing, most importantly, because this changes your heart, it changes your holograph, literally. So remember that whenever we see things going on the outside, it's because there's a storyline on the inside. And although it may be challenging and feel tough, again, if we move that perspective and start to become empowered, remember, whenever we're in a white 13-day process, it's about empowerment, because we're in a 13-year cycle that began in 2019 with White Wizard. And White Wizard, bit of a misnomer. It is about magic, it is about empowerment, it is about remembering who we are. It's the moon goddess Ixchel, and she is all about the asteroid belt, the new consciousness that's coming in for us to make a course correction for human beings so that we align with truth, align with our amazing star being selves, and realize our own sacredness, which has largely been forgotten, that we can heal ourselves, that when we are living in an aligned place with truth, our source energy, and creating habits, being disciplined, which is what Capricorn is really about. We're climbing the mountain and taking those little steps every day to let go of toxic relationships, putting poisons into our body, being around toxic people, and coming into our sovereignty. So on a very basic level, this is a time of year when often we might start to make these promises to ourselves of how we're going to change at the new year. Remember, the new year, the Gregorian New Year, is a construct, and it was created as a calendar by Pope Gregory, maybe not personally, but part of that process of keeping us stuck on a labyrinth and going round and round doing the same patterns where there's an imbalance of power, and where we're not in our sovereignty, and where we believe we are sinners, we believe that we've fallen from grace, etc., etc. And we have fallen from grace in a way that we have forgotten that we do not need to be in codependency. We're here to live our gifts and share our beauty, and that we are amazing, knowing beings as well. And the more we get clear of doing these old patterns and doing these toxic things, the more that this will shine through, which is what the yellow electric sun is all about. Getting into this process of healing is the most important focus, because the more we get clear of these old mindsets and thoughts, and the more that we come into being able to channel and access different information from the source, rather than through all these corrupted codes of many different types of religions that have used consciousness for their own ends to basically make money off people, take people's power, etc. So that is coming to a close now on the planet, and this is why we have to go through these challenging times on a personal and collective level. So again, for each person, just bring that back to yourself. Start focusing on your own patterns, your own wounding, your own story. Start getting out there, being a great detective, finding out about your family tree, speaking to your relatives if you can, about what their pattern wounding was, what the big family story is, the black sheep story, etc., so that you can realise what part you're playing in that and how to heal that and get free of it. Just want to give you all a big hug for going through this right now, because it is extremely challenging on every level. And if you haven't watched Don't Look Up yet, I know it's out there on all the media. It's a great parody of what is happening right now. So it is good to watch. And if, like me, you do tap on all your frustration and anger that comes up watching these people in the holograph outside of us going through the same experiences as we're going through now. So day 2, so we've got Blue Lunar Storm. This is a planetary energy. So on the 26th of July every year, as I've said, we're in a 13-year cycle of White Wizard. And so we're going through all our empowerment issues. So whenever we're in a white 13-day process, it will have its own energy around that. So White Mirror is about Neptune. It's about our illusions and delusions. It's about what we're seeing reflected back. And the more that we come into our sovereignty and power, the more we recognize that we can take action to stop doing all these poisonous distortions. Because if I know a lot of people call themselves a light worker, into healing modalities, etc. Remember that each person can heal themselves, first of all, and that nobody needs to do that for somebody else. We can help other people with their process, but otherwise it's a codependent power trip, again, just like the Western medical model. We're at an age now where people can come into their own power by learning how to do these healing modalities for themselves and making their own choices. That is really, really important and fundamental to getting off the codependency pattern. Recognizing this is a big shift and a big step. Blue Storm began on July 26, 2020. So if you think what was initiated back at the spring equinox, back then with all the lockdowns, etc., just notice, if you choose, how you were feeling and what was coming up for you in your storm. So to use another framework, if you're into meditation, if you're into mindfulness, then what is empowering about that is you know that your personality is not you. It's an aspect of you in your human being role playing. Your soul, however you see that, is here to guide you into furthering this personality role through healing and embodiment of the soul. This is yellow human, which is the 12th mind sign. So we are the Holy Grail. And so again, if you watch, just watched Mary Magdalene recently, very interesting film on that perspective, because the role is on Mary Magdalene. And so she has a different perspective as a woman to the rest of the disciples. And again, just notice all these storylines and how people will see what they see through their own lens, through their own perception, because of their story. The more that we heal, we can let go of this story and recognize that being mindful is great, because we realize our thoughts create our emotions, and that often we get lost in a storm. We get overwhelmed by our emotions, we get taken out of our center. And the key is to be in the eye of the storm and not to lose your head when everyone else is losing theirs. that time is now, more than ever before on the planet, in our written history anyway. So notice what takes you out of your center, what storylines, what people, what are your emotional triggers. And if you haven't checked out Emotional Freedom Technique yet, check it out, because once you start to really work with this energy, you will create a massive shift for yourself and an ability to feel empowered, because whatever is going on for you around your thoughts and your emotions, you can take yourself to a calm space in a healthy way that does not require anything that is addictive. So remember, most addictions are tied into yellow seed energy, which is the mask that we wear, the coping mechanisms that we use. And often these coping mechanisms have helped us survive. They've helped us, our ancestors, survive. So being grateful for that. And now we're at the next level where we can go into a whole different energy of using things like Emotional Freedom Technique and self-awareness to realize that we have ultimate responsibility for ourselves and healing our shadow story. So Blue Storm is the 19th Mayan sign and Yellow Sun is the 20th. They are crucial in transformation and embodiment of healing the shadow story, and through doing that, releasing the old story, literally the holographic story, you will see your world change because you have healed, you've got the learning, you've got the lesson, you understand how your body works, how your mind works, and you have started to master the storm process. Both of these Mayan signs, their planet is Pluto. We've got Pluto in Capricorn at the late degrees now, and this is going to amp up over the next couple of months, especially in the US, because it's going to be the USA's Pluto return, which takes us back to the Civil War and all the issues, as we can see, coming up then. They haven't been healed. It's the same for everybody on an individual basis. If they haven't been healed in us as a human being, remember, we are the world and we are projecting our story out there onto the world so that we get to learn from it, and it keeps coming around until we start to free ourselves by using different frameworks. So the Mayan 260-day wave spell, dream spell, is a process that you can use and get off the old matrix. Now, you can't just do that intellectually, you have to do it by healing your heart and your amygdala. So if people really get this premise, it's so important, this concept is you are doing a process, you are doing a mystery school. Forget about everyone else and shift that focus onto yourself. This is part of the old programming that you can fix it out there. And, you know, this is the reverse mirror distortion. It begins within, begins with me. Peace begins with me. If everybody starts doing this process, then the world will shift massively, which of course is why everybody is not doing this process. So remember, there is a grand design, we're all in it, and each person is perfectly placed where they are. We're all teachers, we're all students, and we're all at different places on the path, and there is no need to force anybody else into anything. This is where we're surrendering to the divine will and really focusing on ourselves and our own responsibility for our ability to respond to a situation. So when you get squeezed by a situation, how do you react? Okay, so that's the key in this 13-day. Now we'll be going into the centre on day 4, which will be red self-existing dragon. And then we'll begin the central column. So I'll come back to that in a moment. So I'm just trying to keep all of this in my head around where to go next. Okay, so first of all, we're in Sun in Capricorn. And so Sun in Capricorn every year comes around, same place. Be the disciple, be disciplined, do what you need to do to get yourself on track. And I know this can be really difficult if you've got family who are on a different wavelength, literally. But the focus now more than ever is that we have to be disciplined and do this work. I have been harping on about this for a long time, and I know the programming goes deep around things like alcohol, things like sugar, things like eating meat, etc. It can be hard to shake that off, but you've got to look at what this creates. If you want to hold the light, you don't put stuff into yourself that blocks that. If you really believe you're a light worker at this time and you're still drinking alcohol, get real, you know, because they don't go together. They cannot go together. They are part of the old program. It's boot camp time, you know, so we have to stop doing these old disempowering ways that are very toxic for us. And today we have the moon in waning Libra at 28 degrees, which is very significant for me, and I forgot. Again, holding all this information is not possible for a human being when you're doing day-to-day life as well. So again, it's recognizing that and just being gentle with yourself. And most of us have got lots of other things going on. But the more you get clear, the more that you will tune in to what you need to know. And so if you can see the picture behind me, this is very significant to today, and I'm just going to share the degree. So this is my Mars in Libra. A single white swan swimming through grey mist. Different and the same, distinguished by vertical composure, yet intended to stay down under. A special destiny task, a mission, an assignment, taught to blend in and become each world passed through, yet remaining incorrigibly other, excellent at taking up required roles and ways of life and finding the best in them. You have a remarkable social gift for making the world a better place. Endowed with higher characteristics and heavenly nature, you are sublime, yet shrugging self off, no big deal. The wonders of anonymity, so many changes to move through, rippling waves of time, standing far above dispassionately, I shall do what is rightful. The singular voice of the highest ethic, pure and essentialized. Also today we have got a key shift. So we've got Jupiter at 29 degrees of Aquarius today. So this is the anaretic degree, this is the soul degree, and Jupiter going back into Pisces, depending on where you are in the world, later today. And what an amazing energy that is. So we're going back in time to when Jupiter was there before, which was so May 13th to July 28th. So if you think back again to what was happening for you back then, and then how it went into Aquarius, into a very different energy. And this is going to be very significant for 2022. And most astrologers are believing that this is, again, bringing that goddess energy back in after a very intense Aquarius energy. So a softness coming in. Again, you can look at it as Christ consciousness. You can look at it as around addictions, around boundaries as well, around accessing your spiritual story, for example. So there's lots of different ways to look at that. If you look at where it is in your chart, Pisces around 20 to 23 degrees, then this is going to be significant for you. And that's the most important thing, really, as a first focus on where it is for you. So in terms of how that ties in with the Venus retrograde that we've got going on as well, it is about issues around romance, love, relationship, and what came up for you in the last 13-day process of Red Serpent, what was happening for you then. So I'm just going to read you Jupiter at 29 degrees of Aquarius. This is an ability for you to make a shift. The sound of dripping water echoes through a great stone room, the most unusual and distinctive of inward conditions. You are held within a mode of awareness that is from another time and place altogether. You have nothing to say and nothing to do. There is no power of individual life force. Instead, you see as the ancient ones see. Utter unworldliness to a point of disassociation from surface experience. A part of the mind transported by a reverie of timeless, effortless realization. Everything is clear, the subtlest, most refined things are obvious. It's all a matter of perspective, and here the perspective is that the only thing that matters is how the inward resonant echo registers and where it leads you in choiceless awareness in communion with the gods. Again, how beautiful is that? So, tuning in to the bigger picture and seeing where we want to navigate, regardless of what's going on with other people. That's the key focus as well now, is doing that inner work at the time of year in the Northern Hemisphere, building up to the spring equinox. And so I've just been checking that out. So this is more of these synchronicities that are coming up. So today we're on Moon 6, day 16. And so we're getting into the rhythm of what's come before. So the previous 5 moons that we've had since July the 26th. So every year on July the 26th, for the first 28 days, we have magnetic moon, showing how authentic we are, showing our higher self, understanding embodiment with Mercury, and how we progress through that with each month. So we, again, like the 13-day process, the Wavespells, we can set an intention on day 1, and then we can see how that builds. So what were you doing back in July the 26th? So again, going back to around this energy, around this Jupiter in Pisces. And This also goes back to January 18th, 2010 to January the 22nd, 2011. So again, what was going on for you back then around your personal story. And for me, that was just before I moved to Glastonbury, which was huge on my spiritual journey, very intense. In terms of the equinox, again, it's going to be on the 20th of March, 2022. So we're going to have red rhythmic dragon. So I'll just show you that. So this is what we're going to be building towards. We're going to be getting in the rhythm of our survival issues, our delusions and illusions. And remember, red dragon is paired with white mirror. They both have Neptune as their planet. So, red rhythmic dragon. So on the spring equinox, we're going to be in a yellow manifestation, which is red earth. Where are we on planet Earth? What's coming to light? What ungrounds us? Uranus being the planet. We've got Uranus in Taurus right now. And so it is the 11th column. 11, number 11 is going to be so significant. Again, this is very significant for me because I'm in my 11th year of working with this system intuitively. And so remember, if you want to work with this system, go on to flowwithjo.com, go on the resources page, and the Mayan calendar is on there. If you want to download this, you can print it off and laminate it for yourself and just start doing the process. That's what I did back in 2011. So again, I can see how all of this is linking in. And of course, we've got new codes coming in on the planet in the winter solstice in December 21st of 2012. Okay, so prior to that, you had 2011, and again the number 11. So we're going to be in the 11th column of letting go. And so again, each day has its own spiral. And whenever the equinox stays on the 20th, it's in that spiral, which began on the 20th of March in 2017 with Yellow Warrior. So we're in a 13-year cycle of the warrior of the heart, who is committing to understanding their Saturnian patterns, because remember, Blue Knight and Yellow Warrior have the same planet. And again, in the past, over many years, I've talked to people about this and said, that's what you really need to focus on, is your own patterns. And a lot of people just don't have the focus to do that for whatever reason. You know, they're off on some ego hero and heroine story. And so until people actually get that and realize that, you know, it's not outside of me, which often takes a couple of Saturn returns to get there. But you know that once your second Saturn return is approaching, which is around the age approximately of 60, you know, mine's coming up soon. It's like, okay, so I really want to be aware of what does not work for me. And I've mentioned this before in my videos. In Barbara Hand Clow's Liquid Light of Sex, if you haven't read that book, it's an amazing book. It shows you that the formula to use is your Saturn code, your Uranus code, and then your Chiron code. So it's how you heal to change your Saturnian pattern. So like Uranus is the forge, it's a light bringer. It's what brings your Kundalini up your body at Uranus opposition at around the age of 41. It's getting us in alignment with our spiritual path. And of course, some people's spiritual path is not to do a spiritual path in this lifetime. We're all where we are. That's the key. But if you are watching this, then I'm guessing you're wanting to really work with your patterns and bring light to them. So just focus on what you need to let go of. That's the key. The dissonance, the spectral, is where it's at right now, because that's where the wounding is. That's what takes you out of your center. That's what ungrounds you. That's what keeps showing up in your holograph. And that is what is seeking to heal. So again, another synchronicity with that. So when I was checking out, again, the number 11 is Virgo. It is the reality. It is the two hearts, 1 and 1, which is Leo, the magnetic. And Virgo comes next. It is the lunar moon. So when I was talking about the 13 moons, we have the first 28 days is Leo. What's the heart attraction? What you're passionate about? Your spirit. Fire energy is about your spirit. Solar, number 9, is about the spiritual journey. It's about going to the next level. And so when you add these two parts together, you see the reality check with Virgo. Remember, this cycle that we're in is the cycle of Virgo. It began on the 1st of September. What's your mindset? What's created your Saturnian patterns, which you will have inherited from your ancestors, from your culture? And what has that created for you? What is manifest? What do you want to create instead? Which is coming from the stars, which is coming with these new codes of where human beings are heading for next. So today we're on Moon 6, day 16. And Red Rhythmic Dragon is going to be the next Aries hero, heroine, spring equinox spiral, so that we're working towards, just to recap on that. And when you look at, again, what this energy is all about, this is about Scorpio energy. This is about death and rebirth, really working with creating new boundaries, new selves, new ways of defining who we are and how we relate and what comes into us on a cellular level on every basis. We've got the North Node is going into Taurus in 2022. Next year, there's going to be a huge shift there. And so Scorpio is the South Node. We're going to be working with Taurus energy in the next 260-day spiral. So what we're doing around our mindsets now is what's going to manifest on the 16th of May next year. The last time we were in Red Rhythmic Dragon in 2020, so to go back to Blue Lunar Storm year, which was the new learning for this 13-year cycle. So again, if you look at those dates for you, what was coming up for you, what was your reaction to everything that was going on the planet back then? On the 16th of October 2020, it was Red Rhythmic Dragon Day. So I was putting all of these codes in the decoder. That was the day before we went into self-existing moon. So when we get to the self-existing moon period, moon number 4, it's Libra energy and Scorpio energy. And it may sound all wild and random to you, me clicking all of these things together. But if you look today, when I'm looking all of this up, like I say, it's Libra moon at 28 degrees, so that we're getting to the tail end of Libra, we're coming into Scorpio. And so during that period every year, which is when we have Halloween, for example, when the Mayans had huge celebrations around the Pleiades, big fires around that. Look at all these key indigenous peoples' ancestral rituals and when the veil is thin, when we can connect to our ancestors. And whenever we are going through that period, this is how the calendar can help you, how the 13 moon calendar can help you come into authenticity and be in the beacon of light by understanding that there is a plan. So to keep the faith, to keep your head, to keep on track. If you use EFT, I've been using it for 14 years, it will help you to come into your center. It will help calm your amygdala. It will help you amidst all of this walking through the valley of death process that we're going through right now. And yes, we do have to go through it because this is how we evolve. So the last video that I did was about the 64-bit matrix. And so this always begins with blue hand. So it began with red serpent. So we've been going through that until blue eagle. So we've come out of that bit now. And so we won't be going back into it until we come to day 10 of this process. So 9 days from now, we'll be back in this central 64-bit matrix. If you start to map your codes, and if you know them already, then you'll see this is where we absolutely have to work on key times of our life that are looking for a rewire because of this wounding pattern. If you want to know more about that and how to work with yours, then please do get in touch with me and I can explain to you how to do that. If you're 52 years plus, then this is very different because you've done all your coding at that point. So it does make a big difference. We can still work out a lot of code though, if you're younger than that. And this will give you an even greater opportunity to change your future holograph because you will be working on yourself and your energy and changing that. So my understanding up to now is limited around this because I just started to really work with it. Anybody who wants to message me about this, please do. And I'd love to collaborate with you around what you know. So I talked about the 64-bit, okay, which is here. Here is 0. So this is when we go into here, the central column. And that's, sorry, that's the book. Okay, you want to look? Peace out. So field 0, mystical column. Once we go into the center of the Tzol Kin, which will be going in on red self-existing dragon day, we go into the mystic level. The codes that I've worked out for myself and other people that I'm working with at the moment so far, they give key information around key years in life for transformation. And then I'm getting a deeper understanding about that by actually, remember all of this is experiential rather than intellectual. So we can understand something intellectually, but then we have to go deeper and go into it. This is what Sagittarius energy is about. This is the Akashic record. So the other parts I'm not sure about yet. So I will be making videos about that as soon as I get to that level of understanding. But this key energy for next year is really going to be about going deeper and releasing. So number 11 coming up over and over, dissonance, spectral, what we need to let go of. And today is really a big day. Sorry, my notes on the floor about letting go. So I've made lots of notes. So tomorrow is the last of the 20-day cycle in the 6th column. So again, coming into the rhythm, you can see all the synchronicities. So there's so much going on tomorrow. We've got Venus getting close, often personal, with Mercury and Mars. Mars coming into a sextile with Saturn at 11 degrees. So again, the number 11 coming up there. Venus and Mercury at 24 degrees of Capricorn. So again, number 6 coming into the rhythm, again, opening up a new paradigm. Tomorrow is 8 degrees of Capricorn Sun. So that is connected to Saturn, because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So again, going into all our Saturnian patterns and cycles and understanding them. Uranus goes back to 10 degrees. So again, you can see that as a manifestation. What's been coming up for you around your self-worth, your self-discipline, around how you feel about yourself and what situation you're in at the moment. So remember, ideally, what we're working towards is not being beholden to people, getting away from people being in power who are narcissistic, who don't care about others. We're moving towards a caring, sharing society by doing that process first for ourselves. And remember, when we talk about Christ, you can also see that as a process. We're all going through a Christ process of becoming very consciously aware of people who aren't conscious, for example, and how they behave towards us because they cannot see who we are. And often, you know, this is the red moon process. This is about people projecting their stories onto us. As of course, we all do that on some level, but it's going beyond that and understanding why that projection is coming up and exploring it. The Sun squares Chiron tomorrow at 8 degrees. And so, again, that integration process. What is it that we need to alchemize now in order to really come into a fantastic relationship with ourselves, and in doing so with everybody else? This is our purpose here now, is to be our shiniest, sunniest, conscious, clear, sparkly self. And with the Scorpio moon tomorrow, that's going to be, again, bringing up all our issues around truth. And if you can't be in truth with people, you cannot have intimacy. So healing our intimacy issues is fundamental. On Red Self-Existing Dragon Day, we start a new process, of course. And how self-existing are we? Well, we can be free of needing to be a hypocrite in whatever way because we're in a job where we can't be our true self. We're around other people in relationship where we can't be authentic. Remember, all of this has to go in order to come into being a sovereign being. So it's not easy to do. Mercury conjoins Pluto at 25 degrees. So again, this is huge around the story that we are carrying, the mystical story. We're going into the mystical column on that day. Then we have on New Year's Eve, we are going into Sagittarius Moon and this moon crosses Mars as well and conjoins. And we have the sun in Capricorn is trining Uranus at 11 degrees of Taurus. So again, the sun is bringing light to what we value, what we love, what we value about ourselves, and how that fits in with being disciplined. Where do we want to be? Where are we headed in this lifetime? Not where is everybody else headed, not where is everybody else going on their journey around whatever they're going around. You know, it's the key focus has got to be on yourself. And then January the 1st, this is the Gregorian New Year. And so we're on a 13-year cycle of white mirror. And we're on the 6th year of that blue rhythmic night. So coming into the rhythm of being a conscious dreamer and taking full responsibility for how we create heaven on earth for us and do it. Again, this is our Saturnian patterns, blue night. Mercury is at 29 degrees of Capricorn on that day. It's a big healing day, and we're going to be revisiting that energy at the end of January as well. On the 2nd, we've got a new moon at, again, 12 degrees of Capricorn. And so we've got these 12 new moon degrees keep coming up. And we've got the 27-degree full moons. So very interesting, because they are all degrees of 3s and co-creation. So wherever this Capricorn energy is in your chart this week, it's crucial to have a look at what have you got at the beginning of those degrees. Have a real good look at that area, because that's what the sun is shining light on now. So for example, for me, it's in my 12th house. It's where my hidden power is. It's about, I feel intuitively a lot of the time, and I'm sure it's true for many women, is that they have gone down the path of their family or the man or their partner, rather than their own path. That often this repression of the sacred feminine has meant that they haven't been heard. They have felt disempowered in some way. You know, the men are more important. Growing up in the north of England, that's a very, very strong ancestral pattern. And so again, whichever house that's in for you, that is very significant. So now is the time to make a decision and stick to it, have integrity, follow it through, and at the same time, which may seem paradoxical, be gentle on yourself. Okay, so on New Year's Day, just really tune in to that energy and where that is in your chart, and focus on that holograph and celebrate yourself, you know, on how far you've come during this challenging time. So the key divinity patterns that I got for yesterday, so I'm going to do those first. So I got the Transformer card, which again, as soon as I look at that, I think of Blue Storm. Remember, where you're getting triggered, that's where your power is, that your emotions, that's the key. So by the time we get to Yellow Sun on day 3 tomorrow, notice what your thoughts are that trigger the emotions. And then if you choose to go deeper, where did these thought processes, mindsets come from? Where did you learn them? Whose are they? You can often pick up, as Gary Craig says in the writing on our walls, often when you start to write things down around sayings, beliefs, you know, often things will come out of your mouth and you recognize who you heard saying that to you in childhood is a very, very powerful. So I did ask for a major arcana, but I didn't get one yesterday. So what I did get was the Four of Cups, luxury. What is luxury for you? I will post links to all of these. How do you feel luxurious in your emotions? What have you experienced over the festive period that's felt really lovely? That's felt like luxury? Three of Wands, this is a card I often get. This is virtue. To thine own self be true. Sometimes that's hard to know what that is. Light a fire. With your emotions. Your emotions are where your power lies. This is why when people repress them, they get out of alignment with truth. Where is your cup full? What allows you to manifest wonderful emotions where you feel joy and love? And again, write those down, because those are key to develop as long as they are healthy and in truth. So it could be, for example, a day out in nature. Had an amazing day with a magical visitor that arrived in the garden today, such a surprise, a raccoon. And I looked up the totem of that, and I'll post that as well. Again, I totally love things like this with animals and nature. It's wonderful. And this is a profound card, the Science, Six of Swords. So again, notice number 6, coming into rhythm, coming into balance, understanding what creates the outcome of truth, joy, being in our center. And I've got a card. So I will put this on about Transformer. This is a Mayan Oracle card. There you go. So again, you can read that at your leisure and stop the video. And now I'm just going to do, as we're live, so the card for today. So remember, the focus is on I, and how do I change myself, because we cannot change anybody else. Yellow human. And I'm just going to pick one card for today. So focusing on the shadow story. These are both cards. Amazing cards. There you go again. Science. And I'll post the link for that. So during this whole process, we go into the Gregorian New Year, and we go into the centre of the Tzol Kin. And so the whole process is about seeing what's in your holograph, seeing what is coming out of this projection. And as we arrive on day 13, what is it that's seeking to clear for you around your empowerment issues, around your ancestral patterning, before we go into the blue, within the blue of Blue Monkey. I hope you have an amazing journey. If you have any questions about these processes, please do get in touch with me. Lots of love. See you soon.